What is good, YouTube? This is Deeker Jones here, and I wanted to start this video off by simply saying how fucking amazing you guys are. I started this channel right towards the end of November, and here we are halfway through January, and I'm already at 1,200 subscribers. I honestly didn't know how this was going to go, but I am super thrilled that you guys are enjoying my content, and I want to continue to work on making it better with each new video. And now that I'm done pandering to the audience, I would like to get into what the topic of today is going to be. And I get this question quite frequently, and people want to know how is it I get my damage so high on all of these different weapons that I have. So today I'm going to be going over my build and the things that I do in order to scale the damage on all of my weapons so significantly. Now to kick things off, let's talk real quick about your special point allocation. For those of you that want to play legit, this will matter. If not, if you're going to use the dog meat duplication glitch in order to dupe the your special book, you don't even need to worry about this because you'll probably end up putting 10 in everything. But to get started, you're going to want something that looks along the lines of Strength 3, Perception 6, Endurance 1, Charisma 1, Intelligence 3, Agility 7, and Luck 6. Now my reasoning for this allocation is because with Strength we want to get that at 3 so that we can have Armorer early on in the game. You cannot underestimate its value in your survivability. Upgrade Armorer as soon as you can and keep your armor upgraded as often as possible. Later on in the game, you're going to want to push your strength up to 6 in order to gain access to strong back, but that one's subjective. If you don't tend to loot a lot, it's not that important. If you're having trouble with your carry weight, you might want to get to it sooner. Now I chose Perception to be at 6 because you'll have access to the Your Special book very early on in the game, which I would suggest putting into Perception. And you will also run across the Perception bobblehead immediately if you follow the main story. So that'll put you up to 8, which is where we ultimately want to be in order to get Sniper. Now Endurance is at 1 because for me Endurance is pretty much a dump stat. The best thing you can get out of it is going to be Toughness, and that's available at rank 1, so no need to put any points there. And ultimately, you're probably going to want Endurance to be around 7 because the hit point boost is nice. Plus, you're going to want to get some perks like Adamantium Skeleton, which is fantastic. And my personal choice is Aqua Boy, which, not necessary in any way, shape, or form, but I like not taking radiation damage, and I like anything that makes me stealthier. Now, for the Charisma stat, that's also pretty much a dump stat, so we can leave that at 1. We will want to get it up to 3 at some point for Lone Wanderer at the very least, but that can be saved for later on in the game. Just bear in mind that Lone Wanderer is one of the primary ways in which we scale the damage of our weapons. The 3rd rank of it will give you a significant boost. Now, Intelligence we're going to start with at 3 at the very least because, of course, we want to get Gun Nut. That's going to be your primary way of modifying your early game weapons, which, like Armorer, is extremely important. It is going to change the entire scope of the game for you, so make sure that one gets leveled up as soon as possible and that you're upgrading your weapons as soon as possible. This is one of those stats that could fluctuate around a lot depending on what you need. Ultimately, you want to get it to rank 6 so that you can have Science, but you might want to bump it up to 4 early on so that you can hack terminals easier. Those can come in very handy. So this one's one of those that's going to be up to you. Agility is without a doubt the most important for this particular build because we're going to be focusing on sneakiness and we're going to be focusing on getting sneak attack criticals, all of which are covered in this tree right here. We want to start with at least 7 so that we can get Ninja up as soon as possible. And we'll also want to get things like Mr. Sandman, as well as eventually get it to about rank 10 so that we can use the Gun Fu perk, which later on in the game is going to be very significant for one-shotting the very difficult bullet spongy enemies that you will be encountering. Now, luck is going to be where you find the most flexibility whenever it comes to deciding if you want to put points somewhere else for whatever it is that you're looking for. I've suggested starting with 6 because there's a number of great perks in there, but all of which can be saved for much later in the game whenever you've bumped your luck up higher. If you wanted to drop it down to as little as 3 so that you can still get Bloody Mess, which is a great perk for scaling our damage, and then you can put other points into, say, perception or endurance, whatever you want, in order to get the perks that you want early on in the game. This is very important. Your early game perk selection is going to determine how much of a hard time you have getting through the initial growing pains in the game. So this is one that can definitely be left at a lower number in order to get something else higher sooner. And ultimately, we want to end up with at least 9 in luck because there are so many great perks in the luck tree when it comes to making VATS more efficient through getting a ridiculous number of critical strikes, as well as making those critical strikes hit like a Mack truck. Now, each individual playstyle is going to determine which perk you want to use as your primary source of damage scaling. There are 6 main options to choose from, and that's Iron Fist, Big Leagues, Heavy Gunner, Rifleman, Gunslinger, and Commando. And seeing as how this build is basically a long-range sniper that focuses on sneak attack criticals and getting criticals in VATS, we're going to be focusing on the Rifleman perk. And it's important to note about the Rifleman perk is that it works on any weapon that uses a stock. So this is also going to affect your combat shotguns and your double-barreled shotguns, and just anything you can stick a stock on is going to be scaled by this perk. The only thing that's going to prevent Rifleman perk from working on a weapon that has a stock is if you use an automatic receiver on that weapon, in which case it'll be changed to the Commando perk. The other 5 perks that I listed there are basically interchangeable with Rifleman, depending on how you want to play. If you prefer automatic weapons, go with Commando. If you prefer pistols, go with Gunslinger. If you prefer miniguns and Gatling lasers, go with Heavy Gunner. If you want to swing baseball bats, go for Big Leagues. And if you want to punch the shit out of things, of course, go with Iron Fist. Now, of course, being a sneaky little sniper, we're going to want to focus primarily on getting our sneak attack critical damage as high as possible. And there are 3 perks that are going to scale that for us. Those perks are going to be Ninja, Mr. Sandman, provided you're using a suppressor on your weapon, and Cloak and Dagger, which is a companion perk that is given to you by Deacon. There are some very important interactions to understand about these 3 perks. If taken in the incorrect order, you will end up with a critical multiplier that is much lower than it should be for having all of these perks. If you've done this correctly, you will have a 6.3 times multiplier for your sneak attack criticals using long-range weapons that are suppressed. The key factor when taking these perks is to not mix and match them. You want to take Ninja first, then take Mr. Sandman, and then get Deacon's Cloak and Dagger perk. The footage that I'm showing you here is showing the difference between 2 characters, one of which has done it correctly and the other that has not. On the character that I did that took these out of order, she ends up with a critical multiplier of 5.1 times, which is actually less than what it would be had you just taken Mr. Sandman and Ninja by themselves, which should leave you with a 5.3 times modifier. This means that the soonest you'll be able to acquire the 6.3 times multiplier is going to be at level 33, at which point you can take your last rank of Ninja, but in order to do that you have to save up 3 additional points from the previous levels in order to then instantly put the next remaining 3 points into Mr. Sandman. But again, you do not want to take Mr. Sandman, then take Ninja, then take another rank of Mr. Sandman. Do not mix and match them. Do one, then the other, and then get Deacon's perk. I am aware that there are other successful combinations, but this is the only one that I can personally verify that I have done myself and is actually working. So to summarize all of this, we're going to want to focus on three aspects, which is going to be critical sneak attacks, raw damage, and criticals and VATS. To do this, we're going to scale our sneak, we're going to get Ninja, then Mr. Sandman, and then we'll pick up Cloak and Dagger for our 6.3 times multiplier. We'll scale our raw damage by getting the Rifleman perk, Lone Wanderer if you're going alone. If you have a companion, don't worry about that one. Bloody Mess, Demolitions Expert if you're using a weapon like the Explosive Combat Shotgun. Lady Killer or Black Widow are decent late game additions for scaling damage, but they will not show up on your weapons tooltip because they're conditional. And then if you intend to use VATS significantly, I would suggest picking up Gun Fu for facing multiple targets. Just remember that whenever you're using Gun Fu, you need to select your targets wisely. You want to start with the easiest enemies first and then build your way up so that your final shots will land on the hardest enemies in the group. And then lastly, we're going to want to scale our critical hits in VATS by using better criticals, Crit Banker, Grim Reaper Sprint, as well as 4-Leaf Clover, all of which are going to make it to where you rack up critical hits extremely quickly and can dish out pain with extreme prejudice. Of course, don't forget your crafting skills such as Armorer, Gun Nut, and Science, because you'll need those in order to modify your weapons to get the maximum potential damage you can achieve. Now, these are just the core perks that you want to be on the lookout for a build such as this that focuses on doing maximum damage with the least amount of exposure to enemy fire. Beyond that, just focus on the things that you enjoy and are going to make your gameplay more fun for you or easier in the long run. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys found this useful. Again, I can't thank you enough for all the support that I've been receiving. Be on the lookout for more videos in the future. And as usual, have a very nice day.